Welcome. Today's topic, drugs used in pregnancy. In spite of the general instructions to avoid unnecessary medication during pregnancy, nearly 35% of women take at least one drug in pregnancy. 66% of all the drugs used in obstetrics are given during pregnancy. Drugs will need to be prescribed for a better maternal and fetal outcome. This can be challenging as the physiological changes that occur during pregnancy can cause a change in the pharmacokinetic properties of a drug, and there is a necessity for a dose adjustment. Most drugs administered to the pregnant mother can cross the placental barrier and may affect the physical or mental development of the fetus, or may have a delayed effect on the neonate. Thus, to minimize undesired outcomes, we need to guide treatments and categorize drugs. The principles of treating the pregnant woman. First, what is the treatment in the non-pregnant state? Evaluation of the relative safety of these treatments. Check for unnecessary treatments. During pregnancy, drug treatment may be necessary for treatment of common minor ailments, treatment of pre-existing or pregnancy aggravated medical illness. This can be better approached after a look at teratology and pharmacokinetic alterations of drugs during pregnancy. Teratology is the study of abnormal development or the production of defects in the fetus, which can be due to deformation, disruption, dysplasia, or malformation. A teratogen is an agent that causes any deviation from the normal morphology or function in an embryo that was developing normally before exposure to the agent. In pregnancy, a variety of problems, which include cold, nausea and vomiting, UTIs, hypertension, diabetes, and epilepsy, among the others, require treatment. Awareness of criteria that exist, or alternately creation of new, more accurate and elaborate criteria are of paramount importance. Criteria to prove that an agent is a human teratogen are: first one, the proven exposure at a critical time in prenatal development, consistent findings by two or more epidemiological studies of high quality, careful delineation of the clinical cases, rare environmental exposure associated with a rare defect. Ideally, the proof should include teratogenicity in experimental animals, or an association that is biologically plausible. Other concepts related to teratology include specificity, indicates that a substance may be teratogenic in some species and not in others. Example, thalidomide and cortisone. Timing. Timing is a critical issue in the context of a particular drug. For example, thalidomide can cause amelia, phocomelia, or ear malformations. Dose and route of administration. In most cases, low doses have no effect. Intermediate doses have malformations, and for higher doses, there may be a death. Maternal physiology. Alterations seen in the pregnant state can affect the pharmacokinetics of the drug. Placental transfer also needs to be considered. For example, coumarin derivatives and heparin. Embryology. Timing of exposure in relation to the embryological events is very important. 2 to 3 weeks post conception, we call it as all or nothing phenomenon. 3 to 8 weeks post conception, period of susceptibility is during the period of organogenesis. 10 to 12 weeks post conception, period of increase in organ size. Exposure to teratogen can lead to growth restriction or the effects of CNS and gonads. Genetics, genotype of the mother and the fetus can affect individual susceptibility to an agent. For example, epoxide hydrolyse levels. Here in this picture, the critical periods in human development. The red color indicates highly sensitive periods when teratogens may induce major anomalies. We also have FDA drug risk categories, category A, B, C, D, and X. The principles of pharmacokinetics along with the dosage of medication determine the amount of active drug at the site of action and the degree of its effect. Variability in the pharmacokinetics of a drug can be seen between individuals. Identical doses of a drug can produce large differences in pharmacologic response between individuals and in patient populations. An understanding of these principles that exist in the pregnant population is essential to optimize drug therapy while limiting toxicity to the mother and fetus. Drug absorption. Drug absorption into a bloodstream can be achieved through numerous pathways. The bioavailability of a drug defines its rate and extent of absorption. Factors which affect the ability of the drug to reach the systemic circulation include drug formulation, simultaneous administration with food or other drugs, chemical composition, metabolism by gut, bacteria, mucosa, or liver, gastric emptying time, intestinal motility, blood flow to the target organ. Gastrointestinal absorption, increased progesterone production, which occurs maximum during the third trimester of pregnancy, is thought to decrease intestinal motility and contribute to the 30 to 50% increase in gastric emptying time. This can result in the delayed absorption and onset of drug response. For example, acetaminophen. This difficulty can be overcome by IV administration for acute analgesic therapy. The above physiological changes can also lead to an increase in the absorption of poorly water soluble drugs, for example, digoxin. Increased exposure to metabolism by gut bacteria or mucosa can result in decreased bioavailability for some drugs like chlorpromazine. Concurrent use of medications can also cause decreased gastrointestinal drug absorption, for example, sucralfate, antacids, nutritional supplements. Nausea and vomiting occur frequently and can affect drug absorption. Lung absorption. During pregnancy, both cardiac output and respiratory minute volume increase approximately by 50%. This leads to an increase in the alveolar uptake and systemic absorption of drugs given through the lungs. Therefore, the dose requirement for the inhalational anesthetic agents like halothane and isoflurane decrease in the pregnant population. This effect could occur with any inhaled medication. Transdermal, subcutaneous, and intramuscular absorption. Skin perfusion is significantly increased during pregnancy. This is due to an increase in cardiac output, which alters absorption of drug across the skin. This is likely to be the main cause of enhanced absorption of the lipophilic drugs given transdermally. Increase in total body water also causes an increase in the extravascular water and skin hydration. This can also cause an increase in the rate and extent of transdermal absorption of iontophoretically administered water-soluble drugs, for example, lidocaine. In view of the recognized hemodynamic changes during the pregnancy, intramuscular administration of drugs may result in an enhanced systemic absorption and a faster onset of action. In late pregnancy, intramuscular injections to the lower extremities may result in decreased absorption due to decrease in blood flow. Drug distribution. Drug distribution of drugs from plasma into the extravascular fluids and tissues follows drug absorption. The volume of distribution of a drug is defined as the volume it would occupy if the concentration throughout the body were equal to that in plasma. The extent to which drug distributes is a function of its lipid solubility, tissue affinity, plasma protein binding. The drugs with significant lipid solubility and tissue affinity will have a large volume of distribution. Example, bupropion. The drugs with low lipid solubility and high plasma protein binding will have a small volume of distribution. For example, omeprazole. The drug is considered to be in its pharmacologically active form when it is free and not bound to the proteins in the plasma. Variations in the body weight, total body water, plasma volume, plasma protein concentration, and protein binding affinity can lead to changes in the concentration of the drug at the site of action and thus its effect. The volume of distribution of drugs is often increased in pregnancy because the plasma volume is expanded by 50%. Mean total body water is also increased by 8 liters, 60% of which belongs to the fetus, amniotic fluid, and placenta. Drugs that distribute predominantly to water and have a low volume of distribution, example cephalosporins, will exhibit the greater reduction in drug plasma concentration. Lipophilic drugs like amiodarone are already distributed throughout the body and will be minimally affected by this change. Therefore, an increase in volume of distribution of drug leads to increase in plasma life unless there is increase in the clearance by metabolism or excretion. Half-life equals to volume of distribution into 0.693 divided by clearance. In pregnancy, body fat will increase by 3 to 4 kg and may act as a reservoir for lipophilic drugs. Drugs with lipophilic properties, ondansetron or fentanyl, may need to be initially dosed on mg per kg body weight to achieve the therapeutic concentration at the site of action. The extra fat stores that develop in pregnancy are mobilized during labor and delivery, as is evidenced by increase in serum lipid levels. Long-term use of lipophilic drug can lead to accumulation and prolonged effects even after the drug has been discontinued. Protein binding. By the third trimester of pregnancy, plasma albumin concentrations are reduced by approximately 1 gram per deciliter. This is due to the dilutional effect caused by increased plasma volume. In addition, plasma concentrations of free fatty acids and steroid hormones, which compete against drugs for albumin binding sites, are increased in the late pregnancy. This leads to an increased unbound and free fraction of drug available to cause pharmacological effects. Drugs that are highly bound to the albumin, like the most anticonvulsants and SSRIs, may be displaced and lead to an increased effect. Some studies have shown that unbound drugs are more susceptible to accelerated clearance by kidney and liver, actually leading to lower drug levels and effects. Concentrations and binding characteristics of alpha-1 acid glycoprotein, which bind most basic drugs, for example, opioid analgesics, TCAs, and beta blockers, are not significantly altered during pregnancy. Maternal fetal distribution. The products of conception comprise a complex organ to which drugs can distribute, undergo metabolism, and return to the maternal circulation or accumulate in fetal tissues. The fetoplacental unit increases the body water by 4 to 5 liters and acts as a compartment for any drug that can cross the placenta. Characteristics of drugs that allow penetration to the placenta include high lipid solubility, low molecular size, low protein binding, and low ionization. Transplacental transfer of drugs increases in third trimester of pregnancy, increased maternal and placental blood flow, decreased placental thickness, and a resultant increase in surface area of the placenta. The more acidic fetal circulation leads to ion trapping of the basic drugs, for example, meperidine or propranolol, and may produce drug concentrations in the fetus that exceed those in maternal circulation. Fetal protein binding drugs cannot cross the placenta when bound to proteins. Once they cross this barrier, they are free to bind to proteins in fetal placenta. Fetal plasma proteins have been shown to bind several drugs, diazepam and propanolol, some with higher affinity than that bound in maternal plasma. Maternal plasma albumin concentrations gradually decrease throughout the pregnancy. Fetal albumin concentrations progressively increase to approximately 20% greater than the corresponding maternal concentration. Though it has been found that plasma protein binding alters the total concentration of drugs between maternal and fetal plasma, the concentration of free drug do not differ. Drug exposure to the fetus depends on the free concentration of the drug. The concentration of fetal alpha 1 acid glycoprotein show a significant decrease and could lead to changes in the amount of unbound basic drugs like propanolol, meperidine, and amitriptyline. To minimize the toxicity to the fetus, drugs like propanolol should be discontinued a few days before delivery so that the levels in the newborn can decline. Meperidine is, however, administered on a short-term basis during labor and delivery, and therefore no dose adjustment is required. Close observation for neonatal toxicity, that is respiratory depression, is the standard of care. Drug elimination. Metabolism of the drugs primarily occurs in the liver. Lipophilic drugs must be converted in the liver to a more water-soluble form to be eliminated renally. Clearance of medications by the liver depends on the liver enzyme activity, liver blood flow, and plasma concentration of the unbound drug. High concentration drug depends on liver blood flow for their metabolic clearance and usually undergo a significant first pass effect. Example, lidocaine, meperidine, and metoprolol. Low extraction drugs depend primarily on liver enzyme activity for their systemic clearance. There are several drug metabolizing enzymes present in the liver that increase drug hydrophilicity. The majority of drugs undergoing biotransformation are either oxidized, reduced, hydrolyzed, or conjugated. The most clinically important metabolic pathway is oxidation, involving the cytochrome, cytochrome P450 enzyme system. Despite an increase in the cardiac output and plasma volume, liver blood flow has been shown to remain normal during pregnancy. Thus, the elimination rates of high extraction drugs remain relatively unchanged. Hepatic enzyme activity has been found to be altered during the pregnancy, leading to changes in the metabolism of drugs. Progressive fluctuations in estrogen and progesterone concentrations throughout the pregnancy are presumed to be responsible. Estrogen competitively inhibits enzyme activity, leading to the drug accumulation. High levels of progesterone may inhibit some of the enzymes in the cytochrome P450 system. For example, cytochrome P1A2, leading to the decreased elimination of drugs like theophylline, caffeine, and gelatin. Activity of other enzymes such as cytochrome P3A4 and cytochrome P2C9 may be increased by progesterone, leading to increased elimination of phenytoin or sertraline. Placental and fetal metabolism. The placenta is not only a physical barrier to drugs but also as a complement of the cytochrome 450 enzyme system. It contains approximately half the level of enzymes as adult liver with the ability to metabolize drugs. The placenta also contains COMT and MAO, which are thought to be impede the ability of endogenous compounds to cross the placenta and enter the fetal circulation. All enzymatic processes, including phase 1 and phase 2 metabolism, have been shown to exist in the fetal liver as early as 7 to 8 weeks post conception. The degree of metabolizing activity as well as ability to be induced is relatively low compared to the adults. The fetus therefore relies heavily on the maternal system for clearance of drugs. Water soluble metabolites produced by fetus are unable to diffuse back into the maternal circulation and can cause drug accumulation and potential toxicity. For example, normeperidine. Renal clearance, kidney is the most important organ for the elimination of the drugs and their metabolites. Renal excretion of the drug involves three processes: glomerular filtration, active tubular secretion, and passive reabsorption. Water soluble drugs tend to be eliminated by filtration, and the rate depends on the volume of fluid filtered in the glomerulus and unbound concentration of drug in the plasma. Lipid soluble drugs are generally reabsorbed by the kidney. Protein bound drugs may be eliminated by active tubular secretion. The clearance of drugs by kidney is influenced by blood flow, protein binding, and the number of functioning nephrons. Renal blood flow increases by 80% during early pregnancy but returns to the normal during the third trimester of pregnancy. The glomerular filtration rate increases as high as 50% throughout the pregnancy. Creatinine clearance, which closely reflects the glomerular filtration rate, increases to a maximum at 34 weeks. The net result of these changes may lead to an increase in the clearance of renally excreted drugs. Example, beta-lactam antibiotics, aminoglycosides, digoxin, and lithium. Specific medications used in pregnancy. Physiological changes that occur during pregnancy are variable over 9 months. I have seen the most pronounced pharmacokinetic changes occur in the third trimester of pregnancy. It is therefore essential to consider some medications that would most likely have clinically important pharmacokinetic changes during pregnancy. First, antibiotics. Antimicrobials are among the most commonly used medications during pregnancy and delivery after, and also analgesics. The primary effect of pregnancy has on penicillins and cephalosporins is an increase in the renal clearance, although the volume of distribution also causes a decrease in serum concentration. The profound increase in the glomerular filtration rate is likely to be the primary reason for this accelerated clearance of drugs. Ampicillin is estimated to produce serum concentration that are approximately 50% of those seen in non-pregnant women. Other drugs that are similarly affected are penicillin, piperacillin, cefazolin, and imipenem. Ceftriaxone serum concentration during the third trimester of pregnancy are similar to those in non-pregnant women. The probable reason for this may be that it is eliminated both by renal and hepatic mechanisms. Gentamicin, tobramycin, and amikacin serum concentrations are reduced during pregnancy, which may be due to increased volume of distribution. Pregnant women may therefore require high doses of aminoglycosides to achieve therapeutic serum levels. The serum concentrations of trimethoprim, sulfamethoxazole, and clindamycin are not significantly affected in the pregnancy. Standard recommendations are to monitor serum drug concentrations when these medications are used for more than 48 hours. Analgesics, there are the most commonest drugs used in pregnancy and are often self-administered. They are used for a variety of body pains, headaches, or secondary dental procedures. Salicylate injection has been linked to fetal malformations. It crosses the placenta and is excreted by the newborn infant, but at a slower rate. It can cause a decreased platelet adhesiveness in neonates and a greater intrapartum blood loss in pregnant women. If taken near term, it causes constriction of fetal ductus arteriosus and leads to pulmonary hypertension. Paracetamol is taken widely during pregnancy and is considered safe when taken in normally recommended dosage. It can cross the placenta and is taken throughout the pregnancy to relieve pain and forever. Fever, anticonvulsants. Women with epilepsy are typically continued on anticonvulsant therapy during the pregnancy. Although there is a debate on phenobarbital and carbamazepine having a lower teratogenic potential compared with phenytoin, the most effective agent for the individual. Phenytoin, when used in pregnancy, has shown to have increased clearance, resulting in lower serum concentrations and potentially less effective seizure control. The above changes is greatest in the second and third trimester of pregnancy. Altered phenytoin absorption during pregnancy may also contribute to reduced levels. Additionally, the plasma protein binding of protein is diminished, secondary to the decline in albumin concentration in pregnancy. Phenytoin also displays inter-patient pharmacokinetic variability. This can cause a problem since phenytoin has very narrow therapeutic index. Monitoring serum levels and obtaining a free phenytoin level may be therapeutically useful in determining appropriate dosing needs. Carbamazepine clearance is accelerated in pregnancy, potentially resulting in lower serum levels and greater fluctuation in levels. The active epoxide metabolite of carbamazepine may be increased in pregnancy and may also play a role. Valproic acid serum concentrations commonly decline during pregnancy and most be seen in the third trimester of pregnancy. Without dose alteration, plasma concentration reportedly declined from 100 to 150 microgram per ml in the first trimester of pregnancy to 30 to 50 microgram per ml in the third trimester of pregnancy. An increase in the volume of distribution and hepatic clearance and a possible decrease in the gastric absorption of phenytoin may be responsible for reduction in serum concentration. Phenytoin can cause neural tube defects, and when used in pregnancy, maternal serum alpha fetoprotein levels and targeted ultrasound should be offered to the patient. Asthma therapy, anti-inflammatory agents are now considered as a primary therapy for asthma. Most patients can be controlled with inhaled steroids and beta agonists, while some patients may require theophylline. Theophylline serum concentrations can be elevated during pregnancy due to a decrease in clearance. Theophylline has a narrow therapeutic index and therefore dose adjustment and serum drug monitoring is essential during pregnancy. Due to potential for increased lung absorption during pregnancy, toxicity from inhaled agents is used in the asthma treatment may be seen. When undesirable effects develop due to an increased systemic absorption, dose reductions should be made. Cardiovascular agents. Patients with chronic hypertension require continued therapy during gestation. Diastolic blood pressure greater than 100 mm of Hg should be treated during pregnancy. Beta blockers are most extensively studied class of medication. Serum concentrations of propranolol, labetalol, and atenolol are not clinically significantly different in pregnant women. Lowered serum concentrations during pregnancy have been demonstrated for metoprolol. Increased hepatic clearance has been speculated as the cause of reduced serum levels. ACE inhibitors have serious effects on fetal kidneys and should not be used after the first trimester of pregnancy. The pharmacokinetics of digoxin in pregnancy are poorly understood because of certain endogenous compounds similar in structure to digoxin, which are produced by fetus and placenta. These digoxin-like substances are responsible for incorrect reading obtained in radioimmunoassay used to determine digoxin concentration. Patient treated with digoxin during pregnancy should be closely monitored for response to therapy and any signs of toxicity. Teratogenesis as a result of the use of coumarin makes heparin the drug of choice for the treatment and prevention of thromboembolic disorders. Human immunodeficiency virus therapies. It has been shown that jadovudine treatment in pregnant women infected with HIV virus reduces the rate of transmission to the fetus. It is also recognized that combination therapy for the treatment of AIDS is necessary to adequately control the virus. Therefore, treatment strategies employed to prevent maternal fetal HIV transmissions are jadovudine can be given when CD4 cell counts more than 500 cells per millimeter cube and low viral load. We advise combination therapy when CD4 cell count is less than 500 cells per millimeter cube. The reports of the pharmacokinetics of jadovudine during the pregnancy are conflicting. Some reports state that its pharmacokinetics do not show any difference between the pregnant and non-pregnant. Other reports suggest a rapid clearance rates and a reduced area under the concentration time curve. Lamivudine has been reported to have unchanged characters during the pregnancy. HIV-1 RNA levels should be monitored and therapy adjusted to achieve the lowest possible viral load. Psychiatric therapies. It may be necessary to continue therapy for clinical depression during pregnancy. Although some drugs have a teratogenic potential, once the decision to treat depression has been made, the appropriate dose should be used. The data available is limited, and one study showed that a mean increase of 1.6 in the required dose was needed to control symptoms. Steady state serum concentrations in the women showed that despite an increase in dose, the serum concentrations were lower. Patients need to be continuously monitored for reduced efficacy of the antidepressant therapy. The clearance of lithium is also increased during pregnancy due to considerable increase in renal clearance. In patients with severe bipolar disorder, maintenance of lithium therapy during pregnancy may be needed despite the possible association with congestive heart disease. An increased dose of lithium will likely to be required during pregnancy. Serum levels should be obtained to guide dose adjustments. Renal clearance rapidly returns to pre-pregnancy levels after partition. It is therefore recommended that lithium dose can be reduced to the pre-pregnancy dose at the start of labor. Substance abuse in pregnancy. Exact statistics of the various drugs abused are not available due to several factors and stigmas which accompany substance abuse. There is also a wide demographic variability. Counseling of the pregnant mothers is essential. Details of the substances used must be obtained from the pregnant mothers. Risks to mother and fetus should be clearly explained. We see the pregnant women or the breastfeeding women, the percentage of effects with ethyl alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, any illicit drug, any illicit except marijuana. Legally available substances abused in pregnancy. Substance abused alcohol, more than four drinks per day. There will be CNS defects, and it is alcohol causes dose related effects. CNS defects, craniofacial abnormalities, growth and mental difficulties range from low birth weight to adverse physical and intellectual outcomes and stillbirth. Substance abused, caffeine, one cup coffee contains 180 mg of caffeine. One can of soda contains 90 mg of caffeine. There will be difficulty in interpretation due to confounding factors. High doses causes fetal cardiac arrhythmias. Long-term data, no correlation with intelligence, attention, or physical growth. Difficulty in conceiving, eliminate or decrease caffeine use. Nicotine, less than one pack, increases fetal death 20%. More than one pack of nicotine, increase fetal death by 35%. Preventable cause of perinatal morbidity and mortality, low birth weight, complications of pregnancy, amnionitis, infant death, prematurity, and spontaneous abortions, physical, intellectual, and behavioral deficits. So, the drugs of choice in pregnancy, drug class, and the drugs of choice during pregnancy. Analgesics, the drug of choice is in pregnancy is acetaminophen. Anticoagulants, the drug of choice in pregnancy, heparin, preferably low molecular weight heparins. As an anticonvulsant, we can use phenobarbital. Anti-diabetics used in pregnancy is insulin. Antihypertensives, drug of choice is alpha methyl dopa. Anti-infectives, antibiotics we use either penicillin or cephalosporins. With all we want to use corticosteroids, we use prednisone. Decongestants used are oxymetazoline drops or spray. GI protectants, we can use either magnesium hydroxide, aluminum hydroxide, or calcium carbonate. Ranitidine and sucralfate can also used in pregnancy. Laxatives or stool softeners, we either use psyllium or tocosate. So while treating the pregnant patient, we should be very cautious because we are dealing with the lives of the two persons. So utter caution to be taken while treating the pregnant women. Thank you for active listening.